This is the true story, a chilling narrative that gripped the nation, of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother Dee Dee, a seemingly inseparable pair bound by illness and unwavering devotion. But beneath the surface of their heartwarming story lay a twisted tale of deception, unimaginable abuse, and ultimately a shocking crime that would leave everyone questioning what they thought they knew. For years, Gypsy was paraded as a terminally ill child, her fragile state a constant source of concern and sympathy. All the while, Dee Dee played the devoted caregiver, the picture of maternal selflessness, tending to Gypsy's every need. Their plight touched hearts, earning them an outpouring of sympathy, generous charity, and even a brand new, specially adapted home. But the truth was far more sinister. Gypsy wasn't sick. Dee Dee fabricated every illness, weaving an intricate web of lies that would eventually unravel in the most devastating way. Her actions were driven by Munchausen syndrome by Proxy, a rare and disturbing psychological condition. It's a mental disorder where a caregiver, often a parent, invents or induces illness in another person, typically a child, all for attention and sympathy. Dee Dee's calculated manipulation trapped Gypsy in a suffocating world of fabricated medical lies and profound psychological torment, stealing her childhood and her freedom. She expertly fooled doctors, social workers, and an entire unsuspecting community, maintaining the facade for years. Pushed to the absolute brink of despair, Gypsy desperately conspired with an online boyfriend, seeking a way out of her nightmarish reality. Together, they hatched a plan to murder her mother, a desperate act born from years of captivity and control. The act exposed years of hidden abuse, revealing the shocking truth behind the seemingly perfect mother-daughter relationship. This disturbing case forces us to confront the dark and often unseen realities of abuse, and the devastating impact it has on its victims. It also highlights the catastrophic failures of the systems and individuals meant to protect the most vulnerable members of our society, leaving us to question how such a tragedy could have been allowed to unfold. Munchausen syndrome by Proxy, a deeply disturbing and complex psychological disorder, now called factitious disorder imposed on another, a more accurate and descriptive term, is a severe form of abuse, a betrayal of trust, and a violation of basic human rights, where a caregiver invents or causes illness in someone under their care, often a child, for their own personal gain. Dee Dee Blanchard was a textbook case, a chilling example of this disorder in action. She thrived on the attention and praise for being a heroic mother, basking in the sympathy and admiration she received. She subjected Gypsy to unnecessary surgeries, invasive procedures that left lasting physical and emotional scars, medications, often powerful and potentially harmful, and even shaved her head to mimic cancer, perpetuating the illusion of a sick child and solidifying her role as a devoted caregiver. Dee Dee manipulated doctors, expertly weaving a web of deceit to convince them of Gypsy's fabricated ailments. Tampered with evidence, altered medical records, and isolated Gypsy from anyone who might question her lies or see through her facade. For abusers like Dee Dee, the child becomes a prop in their quest for validation, a means to an end in their twisted narrative. This isn't rational, it defies logic and reason. It's a compulsion rooted in deep psychological issues, a manifestation of profound emotional distress. Dee Dee's entire identity depended on Gypsy's supposed illnesses, her sense of self inextricably linked to the role of caregiver, making the deception relentless and dangerous, a perilous game with devastating consequences. Gypsy's life was a prison built by her own mother, physical abuse masked as care, and psychological control that left her doubting her own reality. Dee Dee forced Gypsy into a wheelchair, fed her through a tube, and kept her on unnecessary medications. She convinced Gypsy she was mentally incompetent, isolated her from family, and controlled every aspect of her life. Gypsy believed she was helpless, unable to survive without her mother. Any sign of rebellion was met with punishment and further isolation. Dee Dee even hid Gypsy's real age, keeping her infantilized and dependent. Gypsy was a prisoner, her entire world shaped by Dee Dee's lies and manipulation. As Gypsy grew older, she began to see through her mother's lies, discovering her true age and abilities online. Attempts to escape were met with violence and threats, leaving Gypsy feeling trapped and hopeless. Online, she met Nicholas Godejohn, who became her confidant and eventually her co-conspirator. Together, they plotted Dee Dee's murder, a desperate act born from years of abuse and failed attempts to break free. Gypsy believed no one would believe her story. The community saw her as a helpless child and Dee Dee as a saint. In her traumatized mind, violence seemed the only escape. The crime was a tragic end to a lifetime of manipulation, turning Gypsy from victim to conspirator. The most disturbing part of Gypsy's story? The system, designed to protect, failed her at every single turn. It's a stark reminder of how easily vulnerable individuals can slip through the cracks. Doctors, the first line of defense, missed critical red flags, overlooking inconsistencies in Gypsy's reported conditions. Medical records, the backbone of patient care, weren't adequately shared between providers, creating a fragmented and incomplete picture of Gypsy's health. And Dee Dee, with a calculated strategy, easily manipulated the system, exploiting its weaknesses to maintain her control. She achieved this by frequently moving and finding new physicians, ensuring no one doctor had the full context of Gypsy's fabricated illnesses. Even when suspicions were raised by concerned individuals, investigations were often dropped prematurely, lacking the necessary rigor and follow-through. This reveals a significant lack of training and awareness among healthcare professionals regarding Munchausen by proxy and other forms of medical child abuse. The subtle nature of this kind of abuse often allows it to remain undetected, hidden in plain sight. Munchausen by proxy cleverly hides behind the mask of loving care, making it exceptionally difficult to distinguish from genuine parental concern. This deceptive facade makes it incredibly hard for even the most experienced professionals to detect the underlying abuse. To prevent future tragedies, we need better systems, including unified health records that seamlessly share information across different healthcare providers and institutions. We also need mandatory training for all healthcare professionals and a culture within the medical community that actively encourages questioning suspicious cases and reporting concerns without fear of reprisal. Gypsy's story is a wake-up call, a stark reminder that we must remain vigilant, because abuse isn't always visible, and its signs can be subtle and easily missed. And sometimes, tragically, the greatest danger hides behind a caregiver's seemingly loving smile. We must listen to our doubts and trust our instincts when something doesn't seem right. We must support whistleblowers who come forward with concerns, protecting them from retaliation. And above all, we must build robust safeguards to protect the most vulnerable members of our society, especially children. Only then can we truly hope to prevent another tragedy like the one that befell Gypsy Rose Blanchard.